Hello everyone, welcome to Tathastu ICS. A very good evening to all of you. My name is Pooja Sharma and I am your current affairs faculty here. Okay, today is 27th of May 2025 and I am going to take your DNA session. This is the front page of your The Hindu newspaper, and obviously there are important news on your front page also. So this news is very important, what is happening in Bangladesh, because Bangladesh is a neighboring country and India and its neighborhood is already part of your syllabus, and this news is also very important. So today's front page on The Hindu newspaper was very important in general, right? So good morning everyone who is online, who are online. आनंद थोड़ा सा वो कर दो, उसको जूम, जो कमेंट्स है ना उसको जूम कर दो, ठीक, और बड़ा कर दो, ठीक है, और बड़ा, बस बस बस, गुड, थैंक यू. ओके, दिस इज द QR code from where you can access the PDF files of these sessions, right? Now let's see which important news we are going to cover today. First news is again which is on your front page, that is the Bangladesh army at odds with the government on Myanmar corridor. This news is not about India. Actually, this news is totally about Bangladesh. So there is a tussle in Bangladesh in between army and their government. Right now we have interim government in Bangladesh. What is the meaning of interim government? It means it is a temporary government. It is not a government which is chosen by the people, because Bangladesh is a democratic country. So now the government is, you know, whatever happened in Bangladesh recently, Sheikh Hasina was actually ousted from the country. So after that turmoil that happened last year, so after that there was only an interim government, no fresh election has held. Now what is happening? Now army and the interim government, over some issues, they are fighting with each other. Okay, now we are going to cover that. The second news we are going to cover about this Bharat forecast system. This is a new system by IMD. This is a new system by Indian Meteorological Department, which is actually going to give us sharper rain alerts. What is the meaning of rain alerts? We all know that recently heavy rains are coming, and sometimes we are unable to predict that such kind of rains are coming to a certain area. Now we are going to have a better forecast system which is being developed by IMD only, and from here we will have a better understanding of the weather. Third article is about, very important article, about the statistics of arms deals when it comes to India and Pakistan, right? So India moves away from Russia when it comes to arms import. We all know that many of India's weapons, okay, many of India's weapons are procured from Russia. So we are importing our weapons, our defense weapons from Russia from several decades, and Russia has been the major country from where we are importing our defense equipments. But now India is moving away from Russia. India is actually exploring the other avenues also, and similarly historically Pakistan used to procure weapons from USA, and now the Pakistan is also changing its pattern. So this whole article is about the changing pattern of India and Pakistan, how they are going to import their weapons, and special focus is on the weapons which are the air defense system weapons. Okay, fourth news is related to the fight, which is the tussle which is happening between Iran and USA. We all know that USA and Iran have their own tussle on uranium enrichment. Okay, so what Iran wants to enrich uranium, but USA is fearful that it is possible Iran is going to use that enriched uranium for making nuclear weapons, which USA don't want, right? So what USA want, that Iran should keep itself away from any kind of nuclear enrichment, but because Iran wanted to do that and it was not, you know, taking the advice of USA, then USA put sanctions. USA put sanctions on Iran. So what is the purpose of these sanctions? It means USA is going to actually persuade the whole world not to have trade relation with or limit your trade with Iran. So it means, for example, India is a country which is in some kind of influence of USA, then the USA can actually tell India not to have or to have very limited trade with Iran. So by doing that, Iran is going to suffer because there will be very less trade, no country will be willing to trade with Iran, and this is how Iran's economy is not going to boost in a fast manner. So these are the complications, these are the repercussions of sanctions in general, right? Now, let's come to our fifth news. That is about an operation that was also about a self-reliant India. It is actually one of your editorials from your editorial page of the Hindu newspaper. It is actually talking about India's Make in India process, right? So what we have done in Make in India program is there since decades, and what were the achievements of Make in India, and the whole article is in the line of the defense equipment, the domestically produced defense equipment which we have used in Operation Sindoor, right? Now, let's start our discussion for today. The first news is about that Bangladesh army is at odds with the government on Myanmar corridor. Odds means they are actually having some kind of tussle over some issue. So what is the issue here? Let's understand that. So I have already told you, right now in Bangladesh there is interim government. So this interim government wanted to have, and who is actually leading this interim government? Muhammad Yunus. He is actually Nobel Peace Prize winner as well, right? So he got a Nobel Peace Prize also. So Muhammad Yunus is leading the government, interim government right now, and he actually has proposed a humanitarian corridor which is going to be there in between Chittagong, that is in Bangladesh, and there is a place Rakhine in Myanmar. So from Chittagong in Bangladesh and to Rakhine region in Myanmar, they wanted to have a humanitarian corridor. So what is the purpose of this humanitarian corridor? So that the Rohingya people who are already suffering in this area, they can easily come to Bangladesh, right, to aid the Rohingya Muslim. So this is the purpose of this humanitarian corridor which is being proposed by the interim government led by Muhammad Yunus. But what is happening right now? The Bangladesh army is actually the key political element right now. So they are saying we are not going to support any decision, especially this particular decision, because according to the army, this decision is going to threaten the country's national security or sovereignty. And army actually stressed that it is not compromise stance on proposed corridor to Myanmar's Rakhine province. And army's chief also stated that it has been done. The Muhammad Yunus has actually took this decision without even consulting the army. Now there is a tussle between army and the interim government. So why army is very much worried about this corridor? Because Rakhine region is not the only region in Myanmar. So the people who are living in Rakhine region, that are the Rohingya people. So Bangladeshi people are very have sympathy towards the people, Rohingya people who are living in this area. But there is obviously other areas also, Arakan region is also, and we have Arakan army. Then this corridor can be exploited by them as well, and through Myanmar there can be some kind of introduction of drugs to Bangladesh. Okay, so drug smuggling can be there, arms smuggling can be there in Bangladesh. So these are the few concerns with the army, and the army, that's why army is saying that we don't want to support the decision that has been taken by Muhammad Yunus. Now, why India is interested in this news? Look, what is the meaning of interim government? Interim government is a very, a temporary government. We all know what happened in Bangladesh last year, right? So after that, there is no elected government in Bangladesh. Just after the incidents, okay, there is only temporary government led by Muhammad Yunus. Why Muhammad Yunus was chosen as the leader of that interim government? Because he is the person who is well respected in Bangladesh, because he has won Nobel Peace Prize also, right? Okay, All right. Now let's so why India is very much interested in that? Because we all know that we are having our tussle with the Pakistan also, and right now Bangladesh was also showing us some eyes, though the Bangladesh historically was not anti-India. So Bangladesh never took anti-India stance, but in this particular recent conflict which we were having with the Pakistan, at that point of time the Bangladesh actually showed inclination that it is supporting Pakistan in general. But now if there is an internal conflict in Bangladesh, obviously India as a country is going to can take some kind of advantage, or we actually need to be very much aware what is happening in Bangladesh, even if there is going to be some kind of corridor, and if there is some kind of illegal arms smuggling from Myanmar to Bangladesh, then it can actually affect our northeastern area also. So we need to keep our eye on what is happening in Bangladesh, because Bangladesh here is in geographically is actually in between the India's mainland India and the northeastern India, right? Now let's come to our second news. Second news is about the Bharat forecast system. Okay, very important. What is this Bharat forecast system? Now the news is it is going to set to give sharper rain alert. Sharper means better rain alerts now we can have. So first of all, let's understand what is this BFS or Bharat forecast system. Bharat forecast system, again it is a new weather forecasting system. Why new? Because we already have a weather forecasting system. Now we have an improved one, right? And its name is BFS, adopted by Indian Meteorological Department, the main agency which is actually responsible for giving forecast in our country. It is actually developed by IITM, Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, right? So let's understand what are the features of this new Bharat forecast system. First of all, let's understand from this image. Whatever forecast system we already have in the existing system, we have actually 12 into 12 kilometer grids. Okay, it means on the basis of those grids the mapping is being done and the forecast is being announced. Now but in the BFS model we actually moved from 12 into 12 kilometer grid to a smaller grid, that is going to be 6 into 6 kilometer grid. These data are very important. Okay, these days UPSC is asking data, too much data. So, and this is very important, this because it's a new forecast system, and because the climate change is such a hot topic, then obviously UPSC can ask this question in 2026, right? Again, it is actually going to use equal size grid to map region. It is going to, the existing grids are like this. Existing grids are just like this, okay, very basic pattern. But now in the new system, the grids are triangular, cubic, octahedral. It is a very complex structure in which you have triangle shapes also, you have cubic shape also, okay, and you have octahedral shape also. So somehow this kind of structure you will get, and it is going to be a three-dimensional structure, okay, 3D structure. So now we are going to have a better grids. So if grids, this complex grid is going to be there, then the forecasting is also going to be very, very precise. Now, other than that, it was actually able to give a forecast 5 days ahead only, but now we can have forecast 2 to 3 days ahead. So within 2 to 3 days, we come to know that the rain is coming to this particular, can happen in this particular area or not. Now, before the forecasting was there at the block level, but now the forecasting can be there at your panchayat level also, okay. So at the village level also the forecasting is being done. Otherwise earlier the forecasting was done on block wise, right? So any issue here till now? Again, this is the same, whatever I have told you, it's the same, it's again the repetition only. Now let's come to our next article. So this article is about the arms deal. Arms mean, you can say that weapons. Why weapons are so much in news these days, especially when it comes to Pakistan and India? Because now everyone is eyeing on India and Pakistan. Okay, कल के जो DNA सेशन में हमने देखा था, एक USA की रिपोर्ट थी जो ये बता रही थी कि कैसे इंडिया और पाकिस्तान की जो स्ट्रेटजी है वो कैसे चेंज हो रही है, इंडिया के लिए पाकिस्तान कितना बड़ा थ्रेट है या फिर पाकिस्तान के लिए इंडिया कितना बड़ा थ्रेट है. एंड वी ऑल्सो as a UPSC aspirant, we also need to understand the dynamics which is happening in our subcontinent, right? So what is this particular news about? Let's understand that. Okay, now there was an analysis was being done. Analysis of what? That of arms transfer data from Stockholm International Peace Research. तो Stockholm International Peace Research में एक एनालिसिस होता है. क्या एनालिसिस होता है कि जो इंडिया है वो अपने जो वेपन्स इंपोर्ट करने की जो उसकी टेंडेंसी है वो विद टाइम कैसे चेंज हुई, एंड द सेम विद पाकिस्तान ऑल्सो, हाउ देयर वाज ए शिफ्ट इन द सोर्सिंग ऑफ वेपन फॉर बोथ of Pakistan as well. So what was this study about? This study was actually going to show us over the past decade there has been a significant shift in the sourcing of weapons for both India as well as Pakistan. Okay, so what is the what are the observation of this particular research? The first observation is that India has gradually reduced its dependence on Russia. So as we also know that whenever we talk about India's weapon import, which country actually comes to our mind first? Russia is the country which comes to our mind, that Russian weapons we are using right now, but right now we are actually developing our domestic weapon making industry also, right? So we are moving away from Russia, and we are moving closer to other countries such as France. We are procuring our air defense system from France. We are moving towards USA. We are moving towards Israel. Right? So we are moving towards France, USA, UK and Israel, and we are moving little bit away from Russia. It doesn't mean that we completely move to these countries. Russia is still there. Okay, let me show you a map, then the things are going to be much clearer to you. So this is the map. You can look at this map. So this is the weapon import of from different countries in 1950, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010s and 2020s. Let's look at 1950s till 2010. So what was happening? Earlier UK was also one of the country which was giving us defense weapon, and Russia was already there, France was also there, Germany was also there. In 1990, the most of the weapons which we were procuring from outside were Russians, right? So Russian weapons we were procuring, but with time you can see that in this particular decade, in 2020, you can look at this decline. This is the decline, little bit decline is there. So this decline is happening. So we are moving away from Russia with time. The graph is going down, this pink part, and there is an addition of France. So this is France, this blue color, sky blue color, and this little bit darker blue color is USA. Okay, and Germany also, and others means Israel also. So it means not all the weapons we are procuring from Russia, there are other countries also which are taking it, and this is increasing day by day. Maybe in future this portion is going to increase. So this is one of the observations, that India is moving away from Russia. So let's understand what is all written here. First of all, India began to source more than 33% of its weapon from Russia. Okay, here we can see that more than 33% in the starting decades after independence. Then this dependence peaked in 1990s. You can see here in 1990 it actually peaked. We were importing almost 99% of weapons from Russia. Then Russia's share steadily dropped and it became 75% in 2020. Now this is the data which you need to remember. It can come in your examination also. Why? Because it is a very important data, that how much weapon. Okay, for example, if we are importing 100 weapons, out of which 75 are the only which we are procuring from Russia. Other than that, we are importing our 25% weapons from the other countries. The drop was offset by increase in the import from France. From France, we actually import 9% of our weapon. From UK, we import 5.5%. From Israel, we import 5% of weapon, and from USA, we import 3% of weapon. So majorly, we import from first. If you look at the chronology, mostly we import from Russia, then we import from France, mostly means 75%, you can say that, and from Russia we import 9%, and from UK we import 5.5%, and then we have Israel. We import 5%, again 5%, and from USA we import 3% of our weapon. So you always need to remember that we are importing these weapons. This chronology is very, very important. Okay, so let's understand what is the condition of what is the situation of Pakistan right now. Now in contrast, Pakistan has historically sourced majority of its weapons from China and USA, right? Is it on? Because light चली गई थी बीच, एक बार देख लो, लाइव चल भी रहे. लाइव है? Okay, DNA चल रहा है ना, that's it. Okay, that's fine. So now let's come to the Pakistan part now, right? So this chart is actually showing the import of Pakistani weapons, from where the Pakistan is importing weapons. So you can see there are so many zigzags. So this is how the mood of the Pakistan also. Now in 1950s and in the very initial decades after independence, this is the China part now. Now this is not Russia. The pink color is now China. Now Pakistan increased its import from China, right, along with USA. So USA and China both were actually contributing to the weapons in Pakistan. With time, the share of China has increased, and in 1990s it was quite kind of almost 100%, right? Now, next, in 2000 it has decreased and Chinese share has come very down, and in 2020s again you can see that it has peaked. So this time, what is the current situation? Now currently the Pakistan is importing most of its weapons from China, and we can see that once upon a time Pakistan was importing its weapons from both USA as well as China. So USA actually contributed a big share in the weapons which are there in Pakistan, but with time this trend has changed. So USA came into the scene 2 times, but eventually the China is there. So China is the one which is exporting weapons to Pakistan. So let's look at what all is written here. Pakistan has historically sourced the majority of its weapons from both China and USA earlier, but however in 2020s China has emerged as Pakistan's dominant arms supplier. From this chart also you can understand that, right? Now, there is another observation which is actually focusing exclusively on weapons related to air power. So, last 2 charts were showing the overall weapons, okay, all kinds of weapons. But if we look precisely at air weapons, why are we so much interested in air weapons? Because in the recent conflict that happened between India and Pakistan under Operation Sindoor, so which weapons were the most important ones? The air defense weapons were most important ones, okay. India's dependence on the countries apart from Russia is even more evident here in this regard. So this is India's map. So we can see that earlier Russia was something, okay, from Russia only we were importing most of our aircraft, but now with time we can say that here the difference is more. In the last, if we look at the overall weapon import, then the difference was not that much. So we were procuring mostly 75% of our weapons from Russia, but when it comes to the weapons, air defense weapons, then the share of the other countries are increasing. This share has increased, okay. Now UK, France and Israel are more into the scene, especially when we only talk about the air defense weapons. That's it, right? And what about Pakistan? But here with Pakistan we can say that the most of the air defense weapons of Pakistan are from China only, okay? It's are from China. Again, the Pakistani dependence on China is also even more pronounced in this regard, right? So this is something you need to understand. Again, we should know that the Pakistan is procuring its weapon from China, whether it is the overall weapon or the weapons specially for air defense. But when it comes to India, Russia doesn't account more than 90% of India's weapon system. There is only 70%, 5% of the weapons which we import from Russia. The other 25% we import from other countries, right? Okay, now let's come to our news. So this news is about Iran and USA. So why this is a news? Because we all know what kind of tussle is happening between Iran and USA, right? So no plans to give up uranium enrichment for sake of the deal, because there were sanctions on Iran. Right now, since 2018, there are sanctions on Iran which are put by USA, right? So USA ने ईरान के ऊपर सैंक्शन लगाए हुए हैं 2018 से कि कोई भी जो ट्रेड, जिसकी वजह से जो ईरान की जो इम्पोर्ट इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट है वो थोड़ी क्या हो रही है, हिंडर हो रही है. सो इन लाइट ऑफ दैट Iran and USA are again, with the mediation of Oman, they are actually meeting in Rome and they wanted to have a conversation with it. Okay, so again something is happening, but the final outcome is not here, but you need to know the background, right? So what is the background here? Why Iran is saying that we are not going to suspend our nuclear enrichment? That means Iran अपना जो nuclear यूरेनियम एनरिचमेंट का प्लान है उसको गिव अप नहीं करना चाहता है. दे वांट टू कीप एनरिचिंग देयर यूरेनियम व्हिच इज नॉट बीइंग लाइक्ड बाय यूएसए. यूएसए डजंट वांट ईरान टू do that, right? So what is happening between Iran and USA? First of all, let's understand that right now Iran and USA are having talks to make a new nuclear deal. Okay, there was an earlier nuclear deal also which was also known as T5+1. I hope you remember that. So but that nuclear deal failed because there were accusation from USA that Iran is still enriching its uranium. What is the meaning of uranium enrichment? I will tell you that also. Let's understand the news first. Now the main point of conflict is that US wants the Iran to stop enriching its uranium. Okay, but Iran refuses. It says that it has the right to enrich uranium for peaceful purposes like making electricity. Now let's understand what is the meaning of enrichment. We all know that nuclear technology can be used in two ways. The one is a destructive way. If you can make a weapon, you can make a nuclear weapon, and from nuclear technology you can make electricity also. With nuclear power plant, you can have a nuclear power plant. In both nuclear power plant and in nuclear weapon, for all that we need uranium 235. Uranium 235. In both cases we need uranium 235. But naturally we don't find uranium 235. We find uranium 238. Okay, and we have to enrich the uranium. So whatever uranium we find in ore form, so uranium 235 part is very less. So we need to enrich it. If we are going to have more enrichment, if enrichment is more, it means we will have more purest form of uranium. If you have pure form of uranium, that is, it means it is highly enriched. So it is highly enriched. And highly enriched uranium can be used in nuclear weapons. Okay, to make electricity you don't need much of the enrichment. Okay, if that's why there is a limit of 20% enrichment all over the world. Those country who don't have nuclear weapon, they can only have enrichment till 20%, because even you have enriched less than 20%, you can use that uranium to make electricity. But if enrichment is more than 20%, it means it can be easily used to make nuclear weapons. Right now, what USA want that Iran need not to go beyond the 20% limit, but Iran want to enrich its uranium. But Iran is claiming that they are not going to make nuclear weapons. They are going to use it for electricity only. Now this is the issue which is happening between USA and Iran. So what is the background here? In 2015, Iran signed a deal with the world powers. Okay, there were 5 countries plus 1 countries. Its nuclear activity to return for the removal of the economic sanction, right? That Iran agreed that Iran is going to limit its nuclear activity, it is going to make it down so that there can be removal of the economic sanction. Economic sanction were before 2015 also. But in 2018 again Donald Trump withdrew from the deal and reimposed the sanctions. Now those sanctions are still on Iran. But now the further talks are going on. But no country actually has given the final outcome what happened in the particular deal. What USA want? USA want Iran to fully stop uranium enrichment and a new deal to limit Iran's nuclear activity. What Iran want? Iran want to keep enriching and the US to remove the sanctions that are hurting Iran's economy. So this is the tussle between both countries. Now let's come to our next article. It is actually an editorial from your The Hindu editorial page. So name of the editorial is An Operation. It means it is talking about Operation Sindoor only. An operation that was also about a self-reliant India. So it is talking about the Atmanirbhar India. So this article is actually giving us the outcome of Make in India initiative which was there. So now according to him, this last decade was India's decade of transformation when it comes to indigenous technology or indigenous products. So in the past 10 years, India has made big changes in its economy, technology and global strategy. Now, according to the article, India is already on the path of industrial regeneration and innovation. So Make in India program started in 2014. 2014 में start होता है, which pushed India to become a global manufacturing hub, reformed, improved business condition, which attracted investment from outside, okay, especially in electronics, defense and automobiles. Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative which started in 2020 boosted this self-reliance. So Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat both are actually focused on making India self-reliant, that we don't need not to have such big imports from outside. Like in the last news, पिछली न्यूज में हमने देखा कि कैसे इंडिया इतने सारे वेपन्स जो है बाहर की कंट्री से इंपोर्ट करता है. बट आई हैव ऑलरेडी टोल्ड यू देयर आल्सो दैट कि इंडिया अपनी खुद की इंडिजीनियस का मतलब होता है कि घर की ही इंडिजीनियस वेपन इंडस्ट्री को भी विद टाइम डेवलप कर रहा है. अच्छा, हमें अपनी इंडिजीनियस वेपन इंडस्ट्री क्यों डेवलप करनी है? क्योंकि वी आर लिविंग इन अ वेरी डिफिकल्ट नेबरहुड. हम बहुत डिफिकल्ट नेबरहुड में रहते हैं. There can be conflict like Operation Sindoor in the future also, especially in the recent light. Now, what if all the countries in the world stop, giving us the weapons which we actually need? So at that point of time, we need not to look at the faces of other countries. We need to have our own indigenous weapon industry so that we should not rely on other countries, especially when it comes to weapons. So it is not only about weapons, it is about everything which we are importing from outside. That's why another major import item for India is oil. Okay, we import the oil from outside countries. So we are very much dependent on it, and our foreign policy actually being shaped on this matter, that we are importing oil from, let's say, from a country, then we had to have very good relation with that a country. But now what India wants to shift to electric vehicles. So if we are going to shift to the electric vehicles, our dependency on oil import is going to go down. So this is the actual meaning of Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat. India now has third largest startup ecosystem. Now, strategic tech partnership with a country like US and France are also helping India to grow in AI, quantum mechanics and the space technology, right? Now, again, article is talking about a focus on Make in India. Now, article is actually, being very specific, and it is mentioning Operation Sindoor. That Operation Sindoor recently actually proved India's strength in using its own defense technology. So in recent conflict also, we use so many of our defense equipment which were actually successfully used. So India's defense export right now Exports means we are exporting also. We are making weapons and we are being, obviously we are major importer of weapons, but right now we are becoming an exporter also. So right now in financial year 2025, our exports are about around 24,000 crore, and our target is to make this 24,000 crore to 50,000 crore by 2029. Okay. Now the article is also talking about the leading in future technology, how we are leading. Nation strong in technology like artificial intelligence, space, quantum mechanics will lead the future. This is the truth. Okay. India is investing in these through missions such as National Quantum Mission and our semiconductor mission. ISRO's achievement we have already seen through Chandrayaan and Gaganyaan. Technological progress need joint efforts from government, industry and academia. Now, in the end, there is a conclusion by India now is just catching up. It's not just catching up. We are already at somewhere, right? We are leading in the future. So, with the right mix of self-reliant technology, self-reliance, innovation and strategic vision, India is on the path of becoming a Viksit Bharat. And what is the meaning of Viksit Bharat? Meaning of Viksit Bharat is developed countries only, right? Okay, someone is asking, you have a doubt about Scandinavian country. Okay, ask. Exim policies, yes, it is related to Make in India. Okay, this is all about your today's the Hindu analysis, and I am hoping that you are going to read the newspaper also. Okay, this is not, it should not be the only thing you are having your current affair knowledge, right? So please do read your newspaper also. Okay, thank you so much. Have a very nice good evening, every one of you.